Hello everyone and welcome to another one of RC Street Shop's product reviews. Well, today we're talking about something special. We've never really talked much about the Tekno line of products. Tekno is a company based out of San Diego, California, and they build a really nice, really high line group of competition cars, buggies, short course trucks, truggies, and so on. Their stuff is top notch. You know, as good as your Mugens, your Kyoshos, your Associated. It's a really cool company. And what we have here is their entrance into the bashing market, as it's referred to, people call it. This is the MT410. And this thing is super cool. So, let's get into it. What comes in the box? Well, this is available only as a kit. Now, I know that might bum some of you out, but don't be lazy. Get out there and build stuff. It's a hobby. Get into it. I mean, you're going to have so much fun building this truck. It's such a nice kit. It goes together like, I mean, it pretty much builds itself. It builds so smoothly and the parts are so nice. But anyway, essentially what you get is a box of parts. You don't get any electronics, no servo, no motor, no speed control. You don't get tires, you don't get a body. So what we really should say is, what do you need to complete this kit? And as I just mentioned, to complete it, you're going to need 17mm 3.8 monster truck tires of your choice. You're going to need a monster truck body, something similar to what a Revo or a T-Max or a Savage would use. In the instructions, there's a list of compatible bodies you can use, and it's, you know, they're Lexan bodies. You can pretty much mount almost anything on it, I would think, as long as you're willing to chop it up a little bit. This truck, we used one of the Pro-Line Dodge Ram bodies for the T-Max, but also you're going to need a servo, and I believe they ask you for a servo with over 350 ounces of torque. Once again, the instructions in this kit are very, very good, and they're very specific about the requirements of what you need to complete the kit. Let's see, motor and speed control. This is a roughly 8 to 10 pound truck depending on how you build it and what you use in it. So you're going to need one of the 8 scale systems like a Mamba Monster or the Tekno RX8 or the big Hobby Wings, whatever you use. Just make sure you use one of the bigger 8 scale systems. Tekno calls it a 10 scale monster truck, but it's not really 10 scale, it's an 8 scale truck. So you don't want to use a 10 scale motor in it. If you use any of the smaller can 540, 550 motors, you're going to burn them up because they're not going to be able to handle the weight of this truck. This thing is pretty amazing. It's not like your average bashing truck. This is more of like a race truck that's converted over into a basher, and that's really what it is. This is based off of the ET448.3, I believe, which is their Tekno's 8 scale truggy, and that's a great spot to start for a basher because 8 scale cars on their own make great bashers, and this thing is amazing. Tekno claims it has the lowest center of gravity out of any monster truck on the market, and I believe it by looking at it. Also, it's got high quality heat treated aluminum parts all over it. The suspension has an insane amount of adjustment built into it. I mean, there's anti-squat, there's toe, camber, roll center. I mean, anything you would expect to find on your typical 8 scale race vehicle is on this truck. So it's almost infinitely adjustable as far as the suspension. Probably more than any of you guys out there are even going to bother to mess with because it's a monster truck. It is incredibly strong. This truck, you can fling it in the air with almost no care for how high you launch it. The suspension on it is really nice. It's got 16mm big bore shocks. It's got tons of suspension travel, a lot of ground clearance. It's really neat. It's a short wheelbase truck. The wheelbase is adjustable, but you know, even in the longer wheelbase setting, it's about the size of the Arrma Outcast, and it drives really similarly. Well, that's not giving it enough credit. Compared to this thing, the Arrma drives like crap, but it's short wheelbase, so it wheelies like the Arrma. It'll do stunts like the Arrma. When you get it up in the air, it'll backflip 2 or 3 times. I mean, it is a blast to drive. This thing is amazing. The strength on it is probably one of the toughest monster trucks I've ever encountered. It's up there with the X-Max, Savage, stuff like that. May even surpass them. And one of the keys to it is the truck is so well engineered and the parts are so beefy. and it's not too heavy for how beefy the components are. And also it's got a ton of travel. It's engineered right. It's a really well thought out truck. It's a 3 differential system. It's got a center diff on it. So it's a very complete kit too. You get shock oil, you get diff oils, the diff oils they recommend obviously. You get thread lock gel, which you're going to use a lot of because there's a lot of metal on metal components in this truck. There's a lot of cool, there's steering throw stuff. It's a really neat truck, and I really recommend a lot of you RTR guys, you get one of these and build it. Now, it's not a cheap truck. This truck retails, well, this truck sells in the stores for right around $450, and that's just the truck, but that's not a bad deal for what you get. You know, this thing is on par with your X-Maxes and your Revos as far as performance and durability. So, you know, a Revo's a $500 truck, X-Maxes are $900. This thing kind of slots between the two. I think this is a far superior truck to the new Revo 2.0. So, if you think about it, you know, if you're going to buy a Revo, and the Revo's got questionable electronics in it, think about it, you have a Revo, it's $500, you put a better motor system in it, that's another couple $100, you put better servos in it, that's another couple $100. You know, you're looking at you know, at that point, you're at a $900, $1,000 truck. So you're not that far off of what you would be paying for. Actually, you'd be above with this. This truck, we did 3.8 Interco Super Swampers on it. We did a Dodge Ram Proline body for the T-Max and Revo. One of the things I want to talk about was this truck has is the electronics in it. We're using a 2200 Mamba Monster system in this. We tried a few different systems. The radio compartment's kind of small, and the electronics area is kind of small in this truck too. So you got to be a little conscious about what kind of motor and speed control you're going to put into it. Mainly your speed control footprint. We tried a few different systems. We tried a hobby wing system. We tried an Armo motor. We tried a few different setups, and a lot of them wouldn't fit. We ended up sticking in a Tekin system, which we had some trouble with. It wouldn't work out of the box, so we got to send that back to Tekin. But we ended up putting a Mamba Monster in this system, a 2200 kV Mamba Monster system with 18 tooth pinion, I believe, and this thing boogies. It is fast. With an 18 tooth pinion and the 2200 in it, it easily exceeds 50 miles an hour. It's kind of short wheelbase and it's a little sketchy at speed. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it did 55, 60 with that setup with quite a bit to spare. I mean, I think we may even be able to squeeze a 20 out of it without it overheating too much. But that's for another day. So, with this truck, like I mentioned, we're doing 3.8 Interco Super Swampers, Dodge Ram body, 2200 Mamba Monster. We're also using a ProTech servo in this. We're using the PT150, which is a really nice servo. That servo at 6 volts puts out 345 ounce-inches of torque. On 7.4 volts, which we're going to crank the BEC up on this too, it's going to put out 430 ounce-inches of torque, I believe. And the speed goes from 0.10 down to 0.08, I believe. So that's more than enough servo this thing's going to need. It's tough. We love the ProTech stuff. We've really enjoyed using it in a few of our projects. So I recommend you look at the ProTech servo. It's not too expensive, especially for all the stuff you get. And then ProTech also has a new line coming out called Eco, and they've got some pretty impressive servos, and they're not a lot of money. So anyway, back to the truck. So it's an impressive package. The turnbuckles are beefy, 60mm big bore shocks. It's a really fun package. I mentioned before this is an expensive truck. It is at $450. It's not cheap, but you know, with a motor system, you're looking at $200, $250. Good servo, $100. If you don't have a radio, so I would be surprised that you wouldn't have a radio put in this, but let's say you don't have a radio, another $100. So, you know, this is an $800, $900 truck with a battery and everything, but that's not that bad if you consider the quality that you get and how much you'd have to spend on one of its competitors to bring it up to that quality. You're really just buying that good stuff up front and putting it in, instead of buying your RTR truck and replacing the junk electronics. So it really is competitively priced. I mean, I've seen a few things on the internet, oh, is it worth $450, is it this or that? But it's like, this truck with the servo and motor system that are in it is far beyond any of its competitors as far as quality and performance. And you'd have to modify those trucks with the same components you put into this for them to equal the performance of this. So before you push this thing aside for how expensive it is, give it a good look. And and this truck is going to be as durable, or actually it's going to be more durable than its competition, and you're going to get a heck of a lot more performance. I really feel that this is the best option on the market today for a basher, for a monster truck. It far surpasses everything else out there, and it's not surprising with a company like Tekno. I've had Revos, E-Revos. I mean, there really isn't a monster truck out there that I haven't had, because I am a big hardcore monster truck basher at heart, and this truck is the baddest monster truck I've run into yet. The only thing I can think of that comes close to it is the X-Max, and you could build this truck for a heck of a lot less than you get a T-Max for, or for an X-Max for, but it's different. The X-Max is a different experience, and it's not fair to compare this to the X-Max. It's just as far as experiences go, you can't not compare something this badass to something as awesome as the X-Max. But that's totally beside the point. As far as 8th and 10th scale monster trucks go, in my opinion, this one here is the king. Now you've heard me go on and on about this thing like I love it, and I may secretly be in love with it. Don't tell my wife. Where can you buy one of these trucks? Well, RC Street Shop. Where else? We are at 5521 East Spring Street, Long Beach, California. 90808 is our zip code. If you don't happen to be lucky enough to be in beautiful Long Beach, you can give us a call, ask us questions, order one of these on our website. Website's www.rcstreetshop.com. If you want to give us a call, our phone number is 562-4259-1000. Now, you found us on the internet. I hope you realize that. I hope you even realize you're on the internet, because if not, we have some bigger problems we're going to talk about. We're on all the popular social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, which is where we're on here. Give us a shout, like the video, subscribe, and until next time, we'll see you.